Growth in You, your meditation podcast to become more present, alive, and fulfilled. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to this podcast. I'm happy to have you here. In this first episode, I will give you a short introduction, what this podcast will be about me, and why I'm doing it. The idea of the podcast is to explore different mindfulness practices together and me guiding you through it so that you can just follow along. This podcast is intended for people who want to live more fully, more present, and more intentionally, and therefore some sort of mindfulness is needed. And it doesn't really matter if you already have some sort of mindfulness practice set in place or if you just get started. We're all on our journey somewhere. So let's start or deepen our practice together. So shortly about my background. I'm a psychologist with a background in clinical psychology and I'm trained in breathwork as well. And already early on in my studies, I saw that psychology itself can often be a bit narrow in its worldview and techniques. But life and life's challenges require a wider lens, so I personally prefer a more holistic approach instead of just focusing on the mind. I think it is important to include the body as well, as both are intertwined. And some things just can't be solved through talking and thinking about it, but through embodiment. And even though I'm interested in holistic health, biohacking, longevity, and all these topics, I'm a strong believer that it's just the basics that are important and not all the details and million of different practices you can so easily get lost in. So to live a fulfilled and healthy life, you should do something you're passionate about, surround yourself with the right people you love and people that make you grow, work on your body and your mind, and being as present as you possibly can in everything you do. So for a holistic and wholesome life, not that much is needed. If you follow some simple habits like moving your body regularly, doing some sort of sport, eating healthy, follow a passion, read books, meditate, connect with nature and other people, and do something net positive instead of net negative for the world and your environment, you're already off to a really good life. While I'm already talking about habits, even though it might be a worn down topic to talk about, but at the end of the day, your daily habits will make or break you. So just ask yourself, if you would live today over and over for the next 3 years, would you end up in a better or worse place than you are right now? There you will have your answer if you have the right or wrong habits in place. And like with business, it's either growing and scaling or declining and going down, but there is no staying the same over time. And the same is true for you. You're either in an upward spiral or in a downward spiral, depending on your daily habits. And doing the things I mentioned and avoiding cheap dopamine, too much stress, and short-term pleasure is all what you need to grow. But anyways, back to the podcast and what it will be about. I think it's quite important to practice and not to talk about too much theoretical concepts. Theory is also important as well, but I think the best way to get the theory is reading books, and that's reading in general. If you're not already doing it, I would highly encourage you to start doing that because it's the best for timeless learning, getting new perspectives, understanding the world, nature, and other people, and also for solving problems. I'm a really big believer that there is a book for every problem that you will ever encounter and that can help you solve it. So read as broad as you possibly can, but just don't get lost in self-help books because they rarely help people, but often people just get lost in them and never really change anything or learn anything from them. And all I want to say here is that reading will enrich your life in ways you can't imagine yet, the same way mindfulness will do. In this podcast, the goal is to practice, and mindfulness will be one of the most valuable skills with the highest return of investment you will ever get. Because just thinking about it, all you have in this life is the present moment, and every moment that is over will never come back. And the more engaged you are with the present moment and what's going on right now in front of you, the more full and rich your life will feel. You can think about how present you are most of the time, like how much can you feel your body throughout the day and your surroundings, and how often are you just engaged in your mind, thinking about the past or the future. I think most of us know the feeling that we make these little contracts with ourselves, like once I accomplish this and that, I will truly be happy and start living fully and start enjoying life. Like once I finish school, once I finish my studies, once I get that job, that promotion, maybe once I buy that house, once I find my significant other, and on it goes. But every time one goal is reached, the next contract is being made. And you can reflect about your life and how many things you already accomplished that you thought will make you finally happy, but never actually did. Life happens each and every second while we follow our goals, and mindfulness will make us more aware of the life that is happening right now, without unconsciously rushing through life, missing out on most of it. And the problem is often our mind and that we identify with it too much. Michael Singer articulates it perfectly when he says, "The cause of all your suffering and problems is your mind, because we are not our mind, but just the spectator of it. But most often we get too identified with it. So it's that the mind comes up with all these personal preferences about the world and how it should unfold for us to feel good and fulfilled. But that's not how the world and the universe works. It just unfolds, and we have this brief moment in time to witness the beauty of that unfolding in front of us and the possibility to engage and experience it fully. But instead of enjoying that, we come up with all these likes and dislikes our mind makes up based on past experiences and unprocessed emotions that we never feel okay and miss out on most of the moments. At this point, I don't want to dive too deep into this, but I hope to give you a brief understanding of what is happening to most of us if we are not present in the moment. So, to solve all your problems and suffering, all you have to do is stop listening to your mind and just observe what it is doing without identifying with it. It actually can be that simple, even though it's not easy to do as we are so used to being identified with the mind. But here, mindfulness comes into play, as through practicing it, we can learn to start observing the mind without identifying with it, and thereby becoming more present in each and every moment. And to practice mindfulness, it makes sense to have a proper practice set in place where you practice the same time every morning or evening, or even better, every morning and evening. And 10 to 15 minutes is already more than enough per session. And of course, if you're just getting started, even 5 minutes is more than enough to just get a habit going. But what I think is even more important than a proper practice is implementing mindfulness in your daily life. And the easiest way to do that is to check in with your breath during the day. Just observe how it is flowing. Most often when we are stressed, it becomes quite quick and shallow, and we can easily break the cycle by just consciously taking some deep and slow breaths. You can also check in with your body during the day and trying to really feel your toes or fingers and every movement of them. This will anchor you in the present moment and will get you out of your head and into the body and present moment. So just try to have tiny moments where you do these things during your day. And the more you do that, the more presence becomes your default state. But of course, that can take time and shouldn't be something to stress about. Take it slowly, step by step, as mindfulness is a skill like any other skill. And it's funny when people say, I tried mindfulness, but it's just not working for me. It would be the same as picking up an instrument you never played before and directly quitting again because you can't play it perfectly yet. But of course, that takes practice and patience, as with any other skill. But the payoff is really worth it, because the payoff is a more rich and fulfilled life where you get much more quality out of every single moment. Another great tool for mindfulness is breathwork, as it regulates the body and the nervous system and makes it more easy to become present and get out of the head and into the body. So there will be also many different breathwork practices we will explore in this podcast. Another shortcut to become more present I shortly want to talk about can be a topic many people like to avoid, and it's death. That is one of the experiences every single one of us will make at one point, without exception. But we still often live life like that's not the case, and we will live forever, wasting our time and postponing the things that are really important for us to one point later, without having the guarantee that this point will ever come. So becoming aware that we will die can help us becoming more aware of what really matters to us and start living in a more conscious way. And of course, becoming aware of death doesn't mean that you should worry about death or feeling down because you will die one day. It should make you feel more alive and live today and each moment to the fullest, because we are never promised another day, never knowing when it's over. We are all already dead, not in this very moment, but really soon. So we don't have anything to lose, but everything to win by following our dreams and actually starting to live life on our terms and authentically to ourselves without chasing the wrong things that don't matter in the bigger picture. So the biggest risk you can take is living a life full of regrets later down the road, a life not lived like you would have liked to, or things you didn't do because you were afraid of failure or people's opinions or whatever it is you're afraid of. Steve Jobs said when he was dying, remembering you will die removes the fear of risking things. So it really can be a good thing to consciously remember our mortality every now and then, to live more true to ourselves and making the best out of the time we have. As it wouldn't be complete, I also want to shortly address all the science-based benefits of mindfulness for all the skeptical people that still think mindfulness is some hippy-dippy shit, which it definitely isn't, and the science speaks for itself. There are mental health benefits like stress and anxiety reduction, both things people experience too much of nowadays. It can reduce depressive symptoms and improve your overall mood. It enhances the ability to manage emotions and respond effectively to difficult situations. And it can increase self-compassion and reduce self-critical thinking. It can improve your cognitive and brain functions by increasing your attention and focus, enhancing your working and episodic memory, and your cognitive flexibility. It even changes your brain structure by increasing cortical thickness in regions associated with emotional processing, sensory perception, and attention. Then there are physical health benefits like improving your pain management, your cardiovascular health, sleep quality, immune function, and it even reduces inflammation. Also, habit formation becomes better, self-awareness improves, and motivation and resilience can be enhanced. And with all these science-based effects, I hope you come to the same conclusion as me, that it really is a no-brainer to have some sort of mindfulness practice. In this podcast, you can expect a new episode every Friday, where we will explore some sort of guided mindfulness practice. It can be a meditation, breath work, embodiment practice, visualization, or even relaxation practice. And I invite you to try everything at least once and then just decide for yourself what works for you and stick with that. It's important that you have a good time and like practicing. So just pick what works and get rid of the rest. If you have any ideas regarding mindfulness practices you would like to hear in the future and I might not be aware of, feel free to always reach out and let me know about it. And I'm also, of course, always happy to hear about your feedback. So I'm really stoked to have you here and looking forward to go this journey together with you and directly dive into the first practice where we will get to know our breath better, which is already online. I want to finish this episode with the important reminder that you already have everything within you. Through all the stories and past experiences we didn't fully process, we sometimes feel incomplete and think that we first have to become whole, but every one of us, no matter the circumstances and what happened to us, is already whole. And I want you to always remember that. There is another quote from Michael Singer I really like, which says, "Everything will be okay as soon as you are okay with everything." So hope to see you in the first practice. Much love, Johannes.